The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Trying to cover stuff up when you've done something wrong is natural. Trying to cover stuff up when you haven't? Well, that's just pretty dumb, as Amber and Scott discuss The Knife. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Well, that was about the fastest turnaround from innocent to guilty that I've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of lessons and a lot of good topics to dig into for us with this movie, which is called The Knife. A mysterious home invasion draws Chris and his family into a deepening investigation, with Detective Carlson closing in, trust fractures and secrets unravel in this gripping thriller. So yeah, so many what would you do's. We could talk longer than the movie actually was about all the things this family did and probably
Did wrong.
did in the way that was not best serving them. Yeah. So long story short, someone breaks into their home. Chris hears it, goes downstairs. The door is open. He sees a woman in his kitchen. She does not turn around. She does not respond. And then sometime after, we don't know how long, his wife wakes upstairs, comes downstairs, and the woman is planted face down on their tile floor with some blood. And we see a knife nearby, which was actually the knife that Chris took downstairs when he heard a sound. And Chris calls the cops. And in a last-ditch panic before the cops get there, his wife, Alexandra, takes the knife that was Chris's and puts it in the intruder's hand.
Yeah.
And then the cops come, and I don't know, they do the things cops do where they test for prints and find forensics and do DNA and all that crazy detective stuff. And they find out that, someone messed with the crime scene and that knife really wasn't in the intruder's hands.
Yeah, nothing like committing a little felony, literally right as the cops are showing up.
Yeah, because they were all ready and the cops were arriving outside. And then in a last-minute panic, the woman, the mom, wife, runs back and moves the knife.
And I think if we had seen that movie continue, I think we would have seen her with her hands behind her back at some point, too. Because...
Yeah, the detective gets there, questions everybody, separates them, and there's just some things that aren't adding up. And sure enough, the dad, Chris, is the one that gets taken away, even though it was his wife, Alex, who moved the knife.
Like, how can you be that dumb?
Panic. People
but
in the moment of panic, people make dumb decisions all the time.
But listen, you've got to own up to that at some point. Like, you've got to know that knife has prints on it. There's no way that knife doesn't have prints on it, and it doesn't have the intruder's prints on it.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, she just moved the knife. Like, she didn't even, take the knife, wipe the prints, put the intruder's fingers around the knife to put her fingerprints on it. Which still would have been dicey because the whole premise is that the intruder attacked Chris, but there's no signs of any struggle or attack on Chris. So it still wouldn't have been great, but just moving a weapon does not mean that, case open, case closed. Looks like the intruder was a bad person and had a knife.
I mean, you have everything from the law going for you, and you have somehow taken what should be routine and gotten yourself arrested.
Well, you do have everything going for you except for a couple of things. Number one, Chris doesn't really remember what happened, and we don't see what happened. We just see that this woman is in his kitchen. He says, this is this address. You're not at the right place. You should leave. Okay, this is the first what would you do? If there's an intruder in your house and you're talking to them, turn on the frickin' light. Why are you talking to someone in the dark? Why are you having a conversation with them in the dark? Turn on the frickin' kitchen light.
No, I've even got you before there. If you hear something from the other room, don't say hello.
Oh, I know. That made me laugh. Hello? Oh, yeah, hi.
So
It's just us bad guys.
Just make sure that you inform the person that they realize you're there and you're there.
Yeah, they do that in horror movies too. When they think there's someone in the house, they're like, hello? Is anybody here? Yeah, someone's there. Get the heck out of the house.
Yeah, if I think there's someone in my house, I am quiet as a church mouse until I figure it out.
Yeah, no, that was kind of ridiculous. So anyway, Chris doesn't remember what happened. We go from him telling this lady to leave to his wife coming down and the woman being planted on the floor with blood and her being unconscious and barely breathing. So we don't know what happened. And then the second thing is, which is just sadly a truth of life here in America, is they are a black family and they are concerned about and the intruder is an older white woman. And they're concerned about being accused of something, to being suspected of something. So, that fear, which is very real, also creeps in. And I'm sure that's what really drove Alex to move that knife, is just wanting to make sure that they weren't accused or suspected or implicated in any way. But it was obviously the worst thing she could possibly have done.
I mean, you've got to be smarter than that. I mean, listen, I understand that there is a thing with race relations and the cops out there. And I firmly believe that for the vast majority of police officers, race isn't a thing. Unfortunately, there are a few where race is a thing and it does become kind of a higher profile thing and it kind of spreads a bit. But you can't, like in that situation, you can't be like, well, here's what a white family would do. Here's what a black family should do.
That's easy to say as a white guy. We certainly can't speak to the struggles and the very legitimate feelings and fears that African Americans have in our country. And, that statement you made is a blanket statement. That can vary greatly depending on where in the country you live and, what your police force is. And we don't know exactly where they live. So, it's something that you and I cannot identify with.
I agree that we can't identify with, but here's the thing. It's not something that occurred in public. This is something that occurred in your home. This is something that they easily can see that this is their home and that is someone who is there that should not be. Like, this is not a situation where you bring race into it.
I mean, absolutely. The facts of the matter is the door was open. Someone came into their house who shouldn't be there. Absolutely. That should be open and closed. But we don't know what happened in the interim. We don't know if Chris did something. We don't know if Chris... We just don't know. And even, again, I agree with you that if someone breaches your home and comes inside, obviously you want to keep your family safe if you have two young girls upstairs and a baby, which, should have been the conversation with the cops, other than focusing on the knife that really was just unfortunately tampered with. So what would you do if you were Chris and your wife at the last minute went and moved the knife and now you are stuck with the situation?
Man, that one's really hard because you want to protect your wife, but at the same point, you've got to know that you can't. So,
yeah, I mean,
I am probably, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to say, listen, I'm just going to level with you here, okay? We're a black family. We are concerned about how race could play into this. We're completely innocent. We didn't do anything wrong, but we were very concerned, or at least my wife was, and she made a very, very bad judgment at the last second to move a knife that she should not have. And you just kind of have to, because here's the thing, they're going to realize it. They're going to figure it out. And if it's one of those, like, if you tell me it's one thing, if I have to figure it out, it's something else.
Yeah. And the police, I've never seen such a police response in any sort of situation, even when it's like massive gang shootings. The number of cop cars that showed up at that house was massive.
I mean, yeah, it's...
When you have people collecting evidence and all of those evidence bags going out of the house. You got to realize.
I mean, you have the truth on your side. The girls were right. Like, all you have to do is tell the truth. That is all you have to do is tell the truth. And if you do, you're fine. But they didn't. They started lying.
Well, and, what would you do that I'm going to go back before the cops even arrive is, so the wife, Alexandra, comes down. She sees this body. She checks for a pulse. And then the girls come down. And what would you do? I would send those girls back. Don't let them hang out with someone. There's a crime and there's blood and there's a stranger in the house.
Go back to your room right now.
Yes, because that's just number one trauma you should not be exposing your child to. But also, too, in doing that, they made those girls even more compromised when they were interviewed by the cops because, they're kids and, they're influenced by adults and whatnot. But letting your kid hang out with a dying intruder, bad parenting.
That was horrible parenting. I mean, again, here's the thing. It is perfectly fine to say, I heard an intruder, I grabbed a knife. Yeah. I would have no problem with that. Like, when somebody is in your home or you suspect somebody's in your home, you have the right to defend yourself. And I can tell you, if someone breaks into my home, the mere fact that they are there tells me that they are threatening me and my family.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not they actually perform any physical actions toward that, their mere presence in the home, to me, I see as a mortal threat. And as such, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to extinguish that mortal threat. And if that means that I find someone and I murder them, then I find someone and I murder them. And I have no problem with that whatsoever, because I'm not going to be nice and then find out later that, they had a gun and they pulled it on me and killed me and my family.
Obviously, those laws fluctuate depending on where you live and what your rights are.
I couldn't care less what the laws are. I'm just telling you what I would do. And if I've got to deal with the legal consequences of that later, so be it.
So one of the interesting things that happened in the questioning was when they were talking to the girls, and they talked to them independently. And one thing that really surprised me was the detective, who seemed like an up and up law enforcement officer throughout the entire movie, with the exception of the one time she interviewed the first young daughter, and she said, interviewing daughter, said her name and said mother present. I'm like, ooh,
that's super gray.
Why
the mother
would you
the mother was present. She just wasn't. She was present in the house. She wasn't present in the room.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It was like, okay, what are you trying to say here? What storyline is happening here? Because I did find that unusual. But what I was going to specifically talk about is when the dad tucks in the girls for the night. They say, you smell funny, and he had been drinking beer. And apparently he's not allowed to drink beer. His wife doesn't want him to drink beer, thinks he doesn't drink any alcohol. And he's basically like, don't tell mommy. So
how do the girls smell it on him and his wife doesn't?
I thought that same thing, because when he kissed her goodnight and they're kind of semi-fooling around a little bit, I expected her to say something about the beer, because if the girl smelled it, she should have smelled it too, unless somewhere we didn't see in the movie he brushed his teeth.
Or maybe she's got the same sense of smell I do.
Yeah, perhaps. So that information actually came back to haunt him in the end, because when one of the girls was being interrogated by the detective, she said that daddy had been drinking beer and, mommy doesn't like that. So the detective puts together this story of, okay, well, there's some narcotics in the bathroom that don't have a label that he says are some sort of pain meds, prescription pain meds, but, they seem to be the really strong stuff. And that the daughter also says he doesn't act like himself when he drinks. So right there, he had been drinking, there's narcotics in the house, and he doesn't act like himself when he's drinking. So, wow, obviously little girl really compromised her dad right there.
Do not expect your children to lie for you.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just not right to. Like, don't put that on your kid.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, because sure, you might get them to lie about one thing, but I mean, listen, these detectives, I mean,
They
they didn't
actually
just
know
wake
what
up
they're
one day and
doing.
start doing, like, they go to school for this. They learn.
Yeah.
You're not going to, I don't care who you think you are, you're not going to, quote unquote, beat them. And you're sure as hell not going to do it via your young daughter.
Yeah, exactly. These are trained professionals who know about interrogation tactics. And when you're a kid, all you need to do is tell them exactly what the detective did is, I'm safe, I'm a friend, I want to, I want to help you. And those little girls obviously, were put in a couple compromising situations by their parents. I mean, I understand the desperation and the panic of it all, but you got to protect your kids.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to a what would you do that is pivotal to the entire premise of this story. And
It is whatable?
pivotal.
Oh, pivotal. Okay.
And it is something that it's not a what would I do, it's what do I do. So I'm actually speaking from a position of things I do. I have cameras pretty much covering most any non-bathroom part of the house. And they are useful for so many things, but this right here would be a perfect example of why they would be useful. You don't have to remember things when you have footage.
Yeah.
Like that is why I am absolutely anal about having my cameras up and having them working, and because you just you don't have them up because you know when you're going to need them. You have them up because you don't know when you're going to need them. And I mean, I'm a big proponent of it. They're so freaking cheap these days. You could cover your whole house for under $200, and probably some people could do it for a lot less than that. And I mean, it's security, it's peace of mind, it's a million freaking things. Not to mention, if the dog pisses, or one of your dogs pisses somewhere, you can figure out who it is. So, cameras just make it so you don't have to remember. Oh, I'm not ending on that. No. No, we look at each other sometimes.
You don't want to.
I'm not ending on my camera rant. No.
You don't want to end it on the dog peeing on something?
Yeah, no, and no, but this
Little inside look behind the scenes, folks.
Yeah, but this wasn't. I mean, they didn't have cameras, and I don't want to make this sound like this was a race movie. This wasn't a race movie, even though they kind of tried to make it one.
Well, I mean, okay, you're sounding a little ignorant here. If you are anywhere associated with a crime and you are black, you are going to feel differently than if you're white. That's just the fact of the matter.
But you could feel differently. But regardless, the cops didn't, in my opinion, in any way, shape, or form, act one iota differently with them being black as if they had been white or brown or Asian or anything. Like, they treated them the exact same way they would treat anybody. And I mean, when they came in, they were like, yeah, these guys seem really nervous and guilty. If you're telling the truth, you don't really have a lot of reason to be nervous like that.
Yeah, what Judge Judy used to always have a saying in her courtroom, saying, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. And that's because you're not trying to remember the story and get it straight with someone else. If you just tell the truth, you do not have to have a good memory. And that's so true. And
it is understandable sometimes that you might miss details. Like,
sure, there's going to be variations, but you're still going to have the same basic storyline.
Yeah. I mean, you really... So, like, the fact that the husband hit a point where he couldn't remember, honestly, stuff can really go so fast that it is a blur. Once again, this is where footage helps, but if you don't have the footage, it's fine to say, listen, I was scared. What happened next was a blur. She was standing there one moment. The next thing I know, she is on the ground. So...
Yeah, and lies actually show up too in the wife, because she did initially check to see if the woman was alive and if there was a pulse. But as she was trying to stick to their made up story, she even fumbled what the truth was. Is when the cop was like, did you feel her pulse on her neck, on her arm? Where did you touch her? And then she couldn't answer any of it because I think she just got so lost in having to maintain the false narrative.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once you start changing one or two details, you might actually have to change the truth into a lie to make sure that your initial lie remains valid. And that's just where it all unravels. All of a sudden, you change one detail and you have an entirely different story because you don't want to get caught on that one detail.
Yeah. I think my final what would you do is I suspect the door that the woman entered into, the intruder, I suspect it wasn't locked because we didn't see broken glass. I doubt that older woman was picking a lock to get in. I think they didn't lock their door. So my last what would you do is take a lap around your house, check all your locks, make sure everything's okay, and keep your family safe.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If someone's going to break into your home, make sure that there is evidence that they broke into your home. That helps you a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is the woman didn't break anything. She just opened a door.
True.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.